Right.
And I had a pretty good win, and I got hooked. And I went all summer, went to this place, and we just kept going and going. And it was kind of cool because it was a place that had a lot of history. Like the guys that owned it, one of them, his name was Ray Wolford. His brother, Cowboy Wolford, had got second in the main event of the World Series before, and was friends with Doyle and Emeril. Some knew all the guys because a lot of these guys, happened to be. I'm in Texas, and
Right.
a lot of those guys were from Texas, and they were the old kind of road gamblers. They knew each other, so there was a lot of history in this place. Like Doyle had played there at the Redmonds, and just hearing about all these stories from the guys who'd been there kind of really made me excited to be a part of it. But I wanted to go to school, so I went to Princeton. Poker kind of took a back burner again. I didn't really worry about it. And I was there for my first semester, and I was pretty miserable. I didn't really know anybody there. Nobody from my high school went to Princeton. I think only a few kids got in, and none of them went there. It was cold. The weather was different. It just really wasn't what I was used to back in Texas. I mean, in Texas, I knew everybody in my school. I had my friends there. My family was close. The weather was great. It was just, I was a lot happier. And then I was thrust into this cold East Coast environment of different quality of life. I mean, most of the kids were wealthy at Princeton, and they were from different backgrounds, and there weren't many minorities there. I didn't really fit in and feel comfortable there yet. I mean, I think now, the person I am now, if I went there, I would get along fine, because I can pretty much adapt to anything. But I was still pretty young and immature there, and I just really had a hard time adapting, and I got really homesick. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and I missed her, and she was still back in Texas, and everything about it just didn't really add up. I missed my family. I was so used to being close to my mom and my grandparents. So after a semester, I decided I just really didn't want to be there. And my mom and grandma were like, hey, if you're not happy, we want you to come home. We support it. You can go back later. So I went home, and I took a semester off, and I got some various jobs. I mean, I got an engineering internship. I waited tables. I mean, I did different things, but...
How tough was it, though, to leave? I know I read that it was like a dream of yours to go to an Ivy League school.
Right. Leaving, it was... When I finally made that decision, it was hard because I didn't want to let my family down. When my mom and grandma gave me the approval, it was more of a relief to just get out of there and get home and see everybody. And I had planned on going back eventually, going back to school there. So when I got home, I took it easy for a while, got some various jobs, but I immediately went back to playing poker. One of my best friends who lived around me at the time, Ryan, his name was Ryan. He was a few years younger than me. He was like 16 or 17 at the time, and I was 19. He was into poker with me, and we started going to the poker rooms again and playing cards pretty much every day. And I remember I had an internship at Texas Instruments. It was an electrical engineering internship, and I was manufacturing semiconductors and processing for errors. It was pretty boring. And I started playing poker all throughout the night, and I'd have to be at work in the office. I had a cubicle, too. It was like a total office TV job. I'd have to be there at like 7:30 in the morning. Well, I'd be playing poker till 4, I'd wake up late, I'd drive in, be at work late, and eventually I just stopped coming to work. I would miss days. I mean, I was pretty irresponsible, and I got fired one day. They just let me go. They were like, listen, you don't even come into work anymore. Why are you even here? And I was like, you're right, I don't even want to be here. Because I was making pretty good money playing Limit Hold'em. I was playing mostly Limit Hold'em and a little bit of a little bit of Limit Omaha 8 or better. 30-60 and 10-20 was the two different games. There was never really any no limit being played. Right. They'd have a weekly no limit tournament, but I didn't really play much. So I eventually quit that job and did nothing but play poker. And